If you steal their opportunity to fail, then you've stolen their chance to recover. Yes. And you have stolen from yourself the opportunity to be so full of pride when they solve their own problem. All you've done in that situation is steal from everybody there. And so the best thing you can do, even when it hurts, is watch and make sure that it's a safe failure. If your child is practicing child entrepreneurship and their business fails, oh, well, they're not paying for clothes or food or a mortgage or a car. There is no risk. Let them fail 100 times. The 101st time, you'll both be so proud of what they've made.
Welcome to Create Your Own Economy with Bunmi Ajibade, the podcast that empowers corporate professionals ready to break free and transition into entrepreneurship with confidence and clarity, as well as business owners looking to grow and scale their businesses. If you're exhausted from building other people's dreams, leaving you little time or energy to focus on what truly matters to you, you are in the right place. Each week, we provide actionable strategies, expert interviews, and real-life success stories to help you turn your ideas into thriving business. Ready to take bold, clear steps toward life and business you deserve? Let's get started. If you keep rescuing your child from mistakes, what are you training them for? Is it to be afraid or to become confident in what they do? What if the way to raise a confident young entrepreneur without pressure is to let the kids build, allow them to fail, and also allow them to lead? We allow them to fail safely and then allow them to lead. And I just want to say something, give an example for us to think about before I introduce my friend today. Imagine a child selling something in the neighborhood or at church or at a school event, maybe a lemonade stand. And they set their price. They know they are going to greet people. They know they are going to handle some tasks. And also, they learn how to respond to people that will tell them no. Because that's the real world, right? That child, if it is the first time or second time or third time, that child will be nervous. They will make mistakes. It's possible they underprice what they are selling. It's possible they run out of lemonade before the event is over. All those, as adults, what do we see those as? Do we see that as failure to prepare, or do we see it as an opportunity, a moment of training, a moment of asking questions for them to build their confidence towards the next one? So think about that. So today we're going to talk about from control to coaching, how to raise a confident young entrepreneur ages 6 to 17 without pressure. And the focus now is from control to coaching, how we will let them build, let them fail safely, and also let them lead. My guest today, Leah, right?
Yay.
Leah, she has built an entire system around making that kind of growth normal for kids, because she has a non-profit organization where that is what they do. And it is called the Society of Child Entrepreneurs. And I welcome you, Leah. Welcome you to the episode.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get to talk with you for a little while today.
Yes, I am excited also. And all our listeners and viewers, I want to welcome you back to the episode. And today's conversation is for parents, grandparents like myself, educators, maybe people in the school system, people in the church system, and also community leaders. Those of us that believe that our children can start and run businesses. Those of us that believe that it is possible for them to do, and we really want them to succeed. But we want practical ways to build that confidence in them. So let me say a little bit about Leah. She's a mother of 4. She doesn't look it. And she's a founder of the Society of Child Entrepreneurs, a nonprofit dedicated to helping kids ages 6 to 17 build confidence, leadership, and real-world business skills through hands-on learning, which is really very important. She was inspired by watching her own children turn everyday ideas into action. We want to learn about that. And Leah created a nonprofit to prove that children are capable of meaningful leadership right now. And through business fairs, curriculum, coaching, she helps children launch real ventures, learn financial literacy, and develop resilience. Oh, I love that. Through experience rather than theory. At the heart of her work is the belief that when kids are trusted with responsibilities and supported by community, they rise. I believe that. And also that leadership is rooted in motherhood, creativity, and a commitment to building spaces where children and families can thrive. Welcome again, Leah. I really welcome you. And I want to say something about Leah's message. I was just looking through. She has a very powerful and clear and simple message. If we adults don't complicate the message for these kids, that children learn leadership through real responsibilities, where we give them real responsibilities, and that failure is a teacher, is an opportunity to teach them and really help them to grow, and that kids grow when we shift from controlling them and controlling how they think, controlling how they need to run the business, to coaching them, and also from rescuing them. That's what we do as parents, right? We want to rescue them. Instead of rescuing them, we give them resources that can help them. And when I say resources, I mean we don't take over their project, but we give them the tools that will help them do the work. Now, I know you were inspired by watching your children turn everyday ideas into action. So if somebody listening to us right now and thinking they have kids that have come up with ideas, like my grandkids, my grandson especially, he comes up with different things. I want an app. I want to do this. I want to do that. So how do we help them? What should we do to really help them narrow down or navigate their thoughts, their ideas?
So there's so many moving pieces to entrepreneurship and child entrepreneurship. And one thing I think when they start coming up with, I want to do this and this and this and this and this, is not telling them no, but asking them how. Because then they can tell themselves no to the things they're not ready to do. So when you say you want to launch a new app next week and you have this big idea on how it's going to work, and I say, how does that look? And then you tell me, well, I need to do this, 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 and this, and this. And then I say, how are you going to do all of that in the time frame you just gave yourself? And you say, well, I'll have to change this or this. So how does it look if we do try that? How does it look if we wait 6 months? How does it look if we try a 24-hour rule and we don't start this until we've waited 24 hours to see if we still want to do it? And then they get to generate their own answers to that how and decide what they do and don't want to do. We're working on, look, this is so cute. This is my little news article. we're working on a weekly challenge where each week we'd provide a story of Astra and Zeke, our mascots, going through some type of lesson. Then we provide a parent challenge for how you can do that challenge with your kids. And then we explain why that challenge matters. And one of the challenges is really just ask your kid what they want to change and then ask them how they would change it. That's it. What would they change and how? And then let them lead the conversation from there.
And let them lead the conversation from there. That, that's the work of a coach. Is not telling them or telling you cannot do it. No, oh, that's too big of an idea. Let them come up with that. Asking how. How does it look? How are you going to do that? And let them come with if the idea is too big or if it's something that they can come up with. So what did you observe in your own children that made you realize that they have something big on their hands?
So we have to go way back for me to tell you the story. And it's a great story. And you're going to love it. So I owned an in-home daycare in 2018, 2019. And I taught somehow ended up being all girls. So I taught little girls engineering and problem solving. And we watched rocket launches and everything with these little girls that were 2, 3, 4 years old. Like they were toddlers. And then my oven and my microwave spontaneously turned off at the same time and wouldn't turn back on. And I called a service tech to come out and figure out what was wrong. And through his explorations, we found 10 years of black mold in the walls of the house I had only owned for 18 months. The remediation process and rebuilding of my house meant I had to move into a hotel. And while we were at the hotel, we had to shut down our daycare because you can't run an in-home daycare from a hotel. You'll make a lot of people really mad, especially with a bunch of little girls doing rocket launches. It doesn't work in a hotel. So we shut down in August of 2019 with the expectation of being shut down for 2 or 3 months. It ended up being 6 months of construction on my house. We moved back in January 31st, 2020. My husband deployed for what was supposed to be a 3-month deployment, February 1st, 2020. March 17th was the grand reopening of our daycare. Unfortunately, we lived in Los Angeles County at the time, and that was also the exact day the county issued their stay-at-home order.
Oh, COVID.
By April 1st, 2020, we knew we weren't reopening our daycare anytime soon and that we needed to find something else to do. So my husband was deployed. I was at home with a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old, and we decided to take the opportunity to create a digital business where we wouldn't need to be in the same place as people and started a financial coaching company. I was watching coaching training videos and small business training videos and stuff like that on our living room TV. So I could supervise my kids playing and wash dishes and things like that while I was doing the training videos because I still had to be a mom. And in May, my daughter was 4.5 and she looked at me and she said, I want to start a business too. And like any reasonable mom whose 4-year-old wants to start a business, I said, no, you're 4.
No.
Like any respectable 4-year-old, she said, why? And I didn't actually have an answer for her why. She was right. There wasn't really a good reason why she couldn't start a business, especially in the midst of COVID when we had nothing else that we could be doing. So she launched her business. It was at the time called Melody Paints. She created custom drip art paintings. She shipped them to you. She did a Facebook video one time. She accidentally got her doll wet and she had to pay for her doll to go to the hospital because it was an American Girl doll and they're very expensive to get treated. And so she did a video on how she was doing a sale to sell paintings to pay for her doll to go to the hospital. Like all the things that she did. She was amazing. She did Black Friday sales and everything by the time she was 6. She did some city art shows and then she did her first children's business fair. And it was the first time she was in a room full of other kids who had businesses. And it was amazing. And then we moved from Southern California back to Kansas where my husband and I grew up. And I decided, I didn't really give him much choice, that I was going to do a children's business fair to try and find her a new community of other entrepreneurial children. And so we had our first children's business fair. I've got 11 kids packed into this building. I've got 100 shoppers and what's really only space for about 50 people. It was crowded. The fire marshals would have killed us. It was bad. And the kids all had a great time. Some of the kids made $300-$400 in a little 3-hour window. And then they all went home. And as an educator, I looked at my friends and I was like, this cannot stand. We have these little kids who were all so willing to learn. We didn't teach them anything. We didn't give them any new tools.
Yeah.
So I convinced them to come along with me and found the Society of Child Entrepreneurs, inspired by my daughter, inspired by these other kids that we worked with. And now we have a full curriculum. We have children's books. We have an online community so people can really join us, and not just hosting children's business fairs, which is an amazing thing that I love. And it's one of my favorite parts of my job, but also in educating and empowering these kids with all the same tools that a grown-up entrepreneur needs to learn.
Wow, what a story. That is amazing. And I hope as she's telling her story, I know those of you listening or watching us, you have a story. You have a story of your conversation with your child or your grandchild or your niece or somebody. My question is, what are you going to do about it? How did you respond as adults? Because we can move from telling them, no, you can't, or just control the conversation. You can only do this, to really coaching them, asking them questions, as Leah just said. That is a great story. That is a great story. And
it's so much fun.
I can see that because you sound like fun too, allowing her to be in a community. I think that is really important. So when parents or grandparents or adults, when they hear that a child wants to start a business or has an idea and all that, you see, what they are thinking of is, oh my goodness, my schedule. What will happen? What will happen to the school? Because she still has to go to school. We still have our own schedule that we'll have to do. This is everything. So that is how the mind of the adult will respond when they see that these kids are serious. How can parents or adults walk through that? How can they help them walk through that?
So yes, when your kid comes up to you and they say, I want to start a business, then it's really easy to be like, on top of all the other things we're already doing, look at our schedule. We don't have time for a business. Here's my parenting hack for you. If you allow your child to have a child-run business, it doesn't put anything on your schedule because your child is doing the business in their time. What it really does is free up some of the time that your child is expecting you to entertain them by you simply giving them prompts on how they can entertain themselves. And with our website, you can go and download the worksheets, and you can literally print off a worksheet and give it to your kid and say, this is how you can go build your entrepreneurship. Because the whole point of it is that you're not in charge. They are.
So how then do we put pressure on the kids? What do we do as adults to put pressure on the kids?
What will typically happen is the kid will come to you and say, I have this idea. I want to start a business. And then you get really excited about the potential for your child's business. And you start pushing, this is what we need to do. And this is what we need to do. And this is the video you need to do. And this is how you set up your Facebook page. And this is how you get to do it. And so that it can be a big business and pay for your college and everything like that. Well, by that point, your child is 1, intimidated, 2, overwhelmed, and 3, they weren't that serious about it. They wanted to do something fun. They didn't want to pay for their college. So you have stressed yourself out and overwhelmed them to the point that they don't want to do it anymore. And you've ruined it for both of you. And so if you take a more laissez-faire approach to your child wanting to start a business and say, okay, you want to start a business. What supplies do you need? What supports do you need? What are your visions for where it goes? Because it might very well be that your kid wants to start a business because they want $100 so that they can buy a new skateboard. They don't care about college. They just want this one goal. So let them focus on that one goal, because when they get to that goal, they will have the opportunity to decide if they want to set a new goal or if they're done. And every time they set a goal, they get to decide that they're driving their mission, not you. So you're not getting burnt out and you're not overwhelming them.
Wow. When I was having conversation with my grandkids, we did like a mock video, and I just asked them, I sat there, they were a boy and a girl, and I said, introduce yourself. And, they introduced themselves, and this is what my grandson said. My grandson said, when we finished the little 1-minute video, he said, I want you to follow us on YouTube because whatever thing you give us, whatever donation, we're going to use it to pay school fees for other kids who don't have anything. That was what he said.
You're like, I'm so proud.
I did not prep him. There was nothing. You want to do it, tell me what you need to do. So it's really amazing. Now, what do adults do unintentionally to shut down a child's curiosity?
Tell them the answers. That's what we do. They ask a question and we tell them the answer, and we don't ever ask anything back. And then they don't have to be curious because they know if a thought comes to them, they ask you for the answer and you give it to them. They don't have to problem solve because you've already solved the problem for them. But if we start as adults taking more opportunities to ask questions of our children, for instance, if they come to you and they say, I need you to find my lost backpack. And what do? You walk over to the closet where the backpacks always hang, you pull their backpack off the shelf and you say it's right where it always is. You haven't given them any creativity. You haven't given them any problem solving. Conversely, if your child says, I need you to find my lost backpack, and you say, where do you think you saw it last? When's the last time you used it? Where do you think it might be? Then they go look for it and they've practiced their own mental sharpness and their own problem solving. And it really does start with things as little as find my shoes, where's my pencil, when do I...
What is my shoes?
Yes.
Yes, and that happens every day.
Then it turns into every other thing. They have conflicts at school and they come to you to solve them. They get frustrated with their homework. They come to you to fix it. They get mad at a teacher and you helicopter in to solve the problem for them. My daughter, bless her heart, my daughter has 4 teachers. One teacher she doesn't love as much as the others. And she'll call it the mean teacher and she'll say, they're too strict. But she has never come to me and said, Mom, I need you to fix my problem with my teacher. She always tells me, like, this is what my teacher's doing. This is what I'm doing. And she's very informative to me, but she never asks me to solve it. And if I ask questions like, have you tried this? Or have you told her about this? Then she can tell me what's going on. But I don't ever tell her how to solve the problem with her teacher. And I've also told her, it's okay if some people don't like you. You still know how to behave in her class. You still know how to do your homework. You still know what your grades are. Like, it's okay that teacher doesn't light up when she sees your face. Not everybody on the whole planet is going to think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And learning that you can have a relationship with somebody that you don't like, and it is strictly because it's a professional relationship, has been massive for her this year because she's never been able to, either you love her or you hate her. There's no in the middle. And she's learning now how to balance this. We're not friends, but we can get along.
Yes.
And then this is the same girl that walked into my office the other day, slapped her hand on my table and said, Mom, I need to go to city council.
Oh, okay.
I said, well, hello. Good.
Hello.
Why?
What are you going to do there?
Right. Why? Like, no, okay, that's cool. I'm glad you're going to city council. What are we going for? To which she tells me there aren't enough crosswalks on Main Street. And people get impatient and they honk when I'm walking from school to your office. And I don't want to deal with it anymore. So I want to go to city council and tell them to put in another crosswalk. And I said, okay.
How to solve the problem. She knows how to solve the problem and she's ready to take it to... Wow.
But before she came to me, in her 15-minute walk from school to my office, she had determined what was the problem, what is the solution, what control does she have over the solution, and who are the people making the final decision. She had identified all of those things.
All the 4.
And so she came to me not asking me to help her solve the problem, but telling me that she needed me to support her in getting where she needed to go.
When she leaves.
So to do that spot, my job was I did a little bit of research with her on what the walking time looks like, where we would put a crosswalk, found out when the city council was, helped her write the first draft of her speech, made the edits and printed her final draft for her, and then drove her to city council. I was there at that city council meeting solely as the chauffeur and the photographer. I sat in the front row with her. The mayor said, "Are you guys here for your Girl Scout troop or your child entrepreneurs group?" And I said, "Actually, neither." And he raised an eyebrow at me. And I said, "Don't look at me. I'm just the chauffeur. This is her show." And he said, "All right, I look forward to hearing what she has to say." She went through the invocation, the pledge. She went through the approving of the agenda, the introductions. And when it was time for citizens' comments, she stood up. We pushed her chair up to the podium and she stood on a chair and read her letter to the mayor.
Amazing.
There's a picture on our Facebook page of her little blonde body standing on a chair so that she was tall as in the podium.
That is amazing. It's amazing how we let them think instead of telling them what to think. You know,
telling them what to do. They're not little robots.
yeah, what to do, how to think, what to say. No, let them have a process. And normally they won't have the process of an adult, but they come to you when they need that adult's, maybe your 2 cents in there and all that. So we already talked about rescuing, and I'm sure you have heard of a lot from the families you work with. How important is not rescuing these kids?
I know it's so hard.
It's hard.
I
love them
so much. You love them so much. You made them. You love them. You nurture them. You want them to be amazing people. And you don't want them to hurt. And having to watch them get hurt and let it happen is one of the hardest parts of parenthood. And one of the best parts of parenthood. Because if you truly step back and watch your child fail, then you also get to watch your child recover. Yes. And if you steal away their failure, you've stolen their opportunity to recover.
Yes.
And that's not fair.
Ooh, I love that. Please,
do you know how much?
Please.
If you steal their opportunity to fail, then you've stolen their chance to recover. Yes. And you have stolen from yourself the opportunity to be so full of pride when they solve their own problem. All you've done in that situation is steal from everybody there. And so the best thing you can do, even when it hurts, is watch and make sure that it's a safe failure. If your child is practicing child entrepreneurship and their business fails, oh, well, they're not paying for clothes or food or a mortgage or a car. There is no risk. Let them fail 100 times. The 101st time, you'll both be so proud of what they've made. There's nothing that will build their confidence more than recovering from failure.
Yes.
Let them. And I will tell you firsthand, I know that this hurts. Because on my daughter's 10th birthday, not just any birthday, her 10th birthday, a big celebration, double digits for the first time in her life, made it to a whole decade of life. We had an event scheduled and they changed the logistics of our event on the day of. And we went from having 15,000 shoppers estimated to come through our pathway to only about 35. I watched my daughter sit for 4 hours on her birthday in a booth and make no money. She made 2 sales all day on her birthday. It was one of the most agonizing things I have ever done because I wanted to cancel the event. I wanted to send her home. I wanted to pack it all in. But I knew that I had to let her sit there. And when it was done and it was over, she said 2 things. 1, I don't want to do events on my birthday anymore. And I said, fair. And 2, what are we going to do to make sure we have better traffic next time?
Look at that.
She set a firm boundary that she knew I would respect. We're not doing events on my birthday anymore. I don't want to have to work on my birthday, which is a completely valid thing for a 10-year-old.
Yes, even an adult. Yeah.
Right. It's okay to mark your birthday as an unavailable day. Take that day. It's yours. And 2, what are we doing to prevent this from happening again? It was the worst. But watching her at the end of that day start brainstorming ways to make sure our next event had better traffic was amazing.
Wow. I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah. So, we're going to round up, but I have just two questions, but two parts to round up. What phrase should adults stop saying, and what phrase should they start saying? Because you see, whatever we say to them affects these kids, affect how they will see business, affect how they see themselves, affect how their posture in class, their posture in society, it affects everything. So what phrase should we stop saying that we just say, and what phrase should we start saying to help develop their entrepreneurship superpowers?
So this is going to rile a little bit of feathers because it's everybody's favorite phrase and everybody loves to use it as a reason why we should invest in our kids. But I think as adults, we should all stop saying children are the future. Get rid of it. Children are not the future. Stop saying it. And instead, we need to tell our children that they are capable leaders and problem solvers now. Because otherwise what happens is we have these kids and they come to us and they say, I have an idea to solve the problem. And we tell them, not yet. Let the grown-ups do it. You guys are the future. But what we're really telling them is your voice doesn't matter yet. But we haven't told them when it does. And then they reach 21, 25, 30, and they've become so apathetic because we told them, no, voice doesn't matter. And now they don't know, does it matter or not? Because we already told them it doesn't.
Oh, thank you. I love that. I just love that. It's really very simple because we all say that, oh, children are our future. They're our future. But if they are not responsible now, when it gets to the future, what would they be doing? Nothing. They have not practiced anything. They have not practiced how to fail, how to succeed, what to do, nothing. How to think outside of themselves, because even them starting a business is you are developing something that will help somebody else. That's what the business is all about. So
I teach that workshop, and the first thing I tell the kids is that entrepreneurship is seeing a problem, creating a solution, and then monetizing it. That's all you do.
Yes. That's it. So tell us about the Spring Children's Fair, and you said you have a newsletter, and also there's a worksheet on the website. I'm going to go and pick those, and then it will be in our notes section of the podcast. So tell us about the Spring Children's Fair coming in April.
Right. So every roughly 4 months, every 3 months, we do a children's business fair. And because we teach tons of workshops and we have curriculum and we have lessons, the Children's Business Fair is where the kids apply what they've learned to see how they can develop their businesses. And so as the children progress through the year, their businesses get better, their behaviors at booths gets better, their sales get better because they're learning skills. But the Children's Business Fair is really the opportunity when the kids, it's just like a farmer's market. Kids. So we take our kids, they get a table, they get their Square or their PayPal, and they get their product and they set up their table and they run their business. And I'm a little bit of a stickler for this one particular rule that we have at our children's business fairs. If the child is over the age of 7, their parent is not allowed in the booth with them at all. We have a parents' corner, and all of the children 7 and up are in their booths alone. They're only allowed to call a parent over for tech support, meaning if their phone dies or the Square reader crashes, they can call over for help. But they cannot have an adult in their booth talking to their customers, organizing things, or managing their inventory. The kids get to do it all themselves.
So do you have an online class? Because right now I'm in Texas. I have viewers and listeners all over the world who will want what you give. So do you have online classes?
We do not have online classes. However, we have something online called the Sochi Circle. And the Sochi Circle is an online community where you can talk with other child entrepreneurs or guardians who are helping coach other child entrepreneurs. You can find worksheets like, is child entrepreneurship right for my children? What is my role as the guide? All of those things online in the Sochi Circle as a way to build camaraderie. That does not involve live calls right now, and I think probably in the future it will. And then the second thing we have that we're working on finalizing is a full school year long curriculum where 2 times a week for 36 weeks, so it's the entire school year, we have lesson plans that you can teach to your children to build their entrepreneurship, their problem solving, and it's called Ignite, Empower, Lead. And so that curriculum is something that people in the Sochi Circle can pilot, and you can get a sample of those lesson plans to run your own after school program or with your own homeschool co-op so that you can test those programs. And then you can teach what I'm teaching.
I love that. I think I want to join that Sochi Circle, right? I want to really join that. And I would suggest also for those of us that have kids that don't live in Kansas, I want you to at least do some e-learning online classes where you can still teach what to teach so that other people can really benefit from this. The most important thing is not only about what they are selling, is what they are learning. They are learning leadership. They are learning how to respond like your daughter did, how to respond to something that didn't go well instead of throwing tantrum, right? You will have kids. When you go to the grocery store, you see some kids on the floor rolling. And if you ask why, it's because the mother did not buy something. Maybe refused to allow the child to buy something, and then they are rolling. So it's not only about what they sell or the business that they are doing, but is teaching them leadership, teaching them resilience, teaching them how to handle situations, teaching them that life, as they say, life is not fair. Yes, it's not, but you can determine how you respond to whatever life gives you. But we're here to support. And I love the fact that you are teaching parents how to coach, not to rescue. So, for people that want to learn more about the nonprofit, we have their website in the episode notes. I want you to go there, see the resources that they have. Can people join the nonprofit? How do they join?
Yes. So if you want to join the Sochi Circle, that's just there on the website. And you just click the join, you select the level you want to join at. And there's a free level, a $15 version, and a $75 version. So you can decide what you want to invest into that. And then you get all of the services that we provide. And then I use that funding to go back into the programs that we write and the things that we offer kids, like our new weekly challenge that every week I have to write a new challenge on what are these kids going to learn. And then also I have to do it a little bit. The book.
Yes, the book. Yes.
Look, it's so
Sparks to Stars.
Paying illustrators is not cheap. So the goal is 36 of these. And this is the only one right now. So we have to do a lot so that we can get more of these books into more kids' hands, because the best way for children to learn is through story. And when I take these problems that grown-ups face in their business, like customer service or what does an entrepreneur really mean, and I make them into a picture book, it becomes a lot easier for kids to understand.
Yes, definitely. So before we go, Leah, she gives challenges, and I also want to give you a challenge for those of you listening to us or for those of you watching us. I want you to choose one real responsibility that your child will own this week. Just one. Look at your home. Give that child one responsibility this week. Do not take it back. Do not control it. Do not tell them why they cannot do it or anything. And share with us whatever came out of it, what you learn from it, what your kid also will learn from it. The goal this week is to move us from controlling to coaching and stop rescuing. And in part 2, we'll come back for part 2 of this, where we'll really get practical, because Leah will break down how kids can run real businesses with simple systems that will really build real world skills. And also money confidence. This is where we'll start teaching them. We don't wait until after high school and then they don't know how to handle their paycheck, So this is where we want to start, really helping them. So if you have not subscribe now so that you can get notification when we have the second part of this conversation, which I love, really, really love. And if you are a parent, if you're an educator, if you know of a grandparent, if you know of a community that will need this message, please go ahead and share that, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to Create Your Own Economy with Bunmi Ajibade. I hope this episode gave you the clarity and inspiration to take the next step in your entrepreneurial journey. If you're a corporate professional feeling stuck or unfulfilled, and you are thinking about starting your own business, but find yourself asking, how, what, where, who, or when, I invite you to download my special curated guide, Transition from Corporate Professional to Entrepreneur, the 10-step guide for success. This guide is designed to make your transition smoother and less stressful. Afterward, schedule a clarity call to map out your personalized success path. We invite you to write a review, like, and share this episode with anyone who needs this information. See you in the next episode.